Hey, Kurt.
What's up, man?
Hey, buddy. We've got a sponsor this week.
That's awesome.
It's Distilled Experiences. Find your experience at distilledexperiences.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am your host, Perry, and this week sitting down with me is none other than Curtis Conrad. Kurt, what's up, buddy?
Oh, nothing much, man. Just enjoying life. How are you?
I am staving off infection, which is a kind way of saying that I'm trying not to get sick in this turbulent time of the holidays.
I understand that one.
It's good. Lucy's sick, so...
We'll pull through.
Yeah, we're working on it.
I also like the you didn't mean to, but stave.
Oh yeah,
but
there we go.
Yeah.
Hey, a couple of things up top before we get into Flying Blind. First and foremost, the Movember charity campaign is going on for just a little bit longer, seeing if we can actually hit our secondary goal of $750. We did originally hit our $500 goal, and I thought, we can easily do something more. And so that is still available for people to donate to. There's a link in the description below for you to go and check that out. Thank you all so much to everybody who has donated already to the charity campaign. That's pretty freaking awesome that even happened. So
yeah, no, that's so awesome how quick it happened as well.
Oh, it blew me away.
Thank you very much to everyone that has donated and that will donate, because that is a really great thing that it's going to.
Absolutely. And I know that this is kind of a hard time of year for people. They're trying to save up for holidays or Christmas gifts or whatever, what have you. So if you can give, great. If not, totally understand. It's just part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Flying Blind.
This is for anybody who is a patron of the show. It's Bourbon Night. You may or may not have heard of it, depending on... I'm just kidding. Y'all know who It's Bourbon Night are. I was on the Drink More Bourbon podcast that they do for their Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/It's Bourbon Night. And Chad actually blinded me with this. So I figured that I would blind you with it as well, Curtis, because...
Well, thank you.
It's different. We'll say.
Okay.
It's very oaky. This is not the first time I've had this, of course, and it seems like it's been changing every time that I have had it.
Okay. I'm getting the oak. Getting a little bit of a smokiness.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm not getting a ton on the nose, though, other than that.
But I think the palate is really where this shines. And this is where it starts to throw me off.
Yeah, I'm definitely sorry, jeez.
No, it's okay.
Going from the nose to the palate, it really just evolves what you're getting on the nose. I'm not getting a ton of extra complexity within that. I'm getting a lot of the oakiness of what you got on the nose.
Sorry, also, if I'm coughing in the background a bunch, it's because of me trying to fight this nastiness. But I want to go ahead and tell you what this is, because it means it's going to be more interesting to talk about it with you knowing what it is, because this has really thrown me for a loop. Okay, so this is Rebel Yell 100.
Okay.
This is the newest release in the Rebel Yell line. So, of course, it's 100 proof. It's a wheated bourbon.
I would not have gotten...
That's the thing about it that really throws me off. Because again, this was given to me blind at one point. And I told Chad I thought it was a high rye bourbon.
Yeah.
It's a wheater. It's not supposed to be spicy,
but it is.
But it's quite spicy. But it's really good though.
It is very good. So what? How do you classify sort of that? It's not your stereotypical wheated bourbon with sweet notes.
I don't even know. I mean,
How did they do this is what I'm trying to figure out.
this is a distiller's absolute dream to have something so different come out of a product that is stereotypically one way or another.
Yeah. I'm getting some nuttiness. I'm getting some of the peanut flavor coming through on the palate now.
Yeah.
With that being said, I would have never guessed that this would be a wheated bourbon.
No, not at all.
And it sitting at 100 proof is kind of odd too. I feel that it would be probably like a 90 proof. I didn't get the 100 proof. It honestly felt a little young to me too.
No, I don't know what the age is on it.
Yeah.
It's not an age stated, so it's over 4 years old. I mean, it is straight bourbon whiskey, of course, but I just don't know. I mean, I would assume this is probably 4 to 6,
Yeah.
maybe 6 to 8. I don't really know, but yeah, I think I have to agree with you that it being 100 proof. I mean, there's just so much about this that it just throws me off the scent. You know,
It throws you off the trail.
I don't know what to say about this other than it has just surprised the heck out of me.
It's different.
It's so good.
It's
so
very good.
And, okay, what do you think the price point is?
I want to say price point's probably sitting at 35, 40.
$20.
Oh gosh. I like that because
Yeah.
I think that's what the price point should be.
I kind of think so too. I mean, that's kind of my assessment of what the age would be on it as well. Because, I mean, legitimately, I don't know what it is, but I mean, it's not like they're bottling a 10 to 12-year-old bourbon at $20. So it only makes sense for it to be 4 to 6. Or
Yeah,
so.
I wouldn't quote myself on it, but I'm pretty sure this is probably 4 to 6.
Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, that was Flying Blind. Curtis Conrad, what have you been drinking recently?
Oh, I've been drinking quite a bit, man.
You have something in front of us that it's been a while since we've split a bottle.
Yes.
This, I'll let you tell it. I'll let
Yes.
you talk
So
about it.
I went to a liquor store and found Wild Turkey Decades.
The Master's Keep.
The Master's Keep. And it was just so random because it was sitting. I mean, the Decades was a 2017 release. It's sitting it's aged 10 to 20 years and sitting at 104 proof. And it's delicious, man.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of my. It might be my favorite release of the Master's Keep line so far, and I loved Revival, which came out last year.
Same here.
But this one, I think, is a little bit more classic turkey
It is.
in general.
It's more of their palate and
Yeah.
what their profile is.
Yeah. The crazy thing about this bottle too is not only was it just sitting on the shelf, but it was sitting on the shelf about $20 less than what MSRP was.
Yes.
When it first came out. And as soon as you told me that, I was like, we should probably get this bottle.
Well, that's what I kept thinking too, because I asked the price. He said $125, and I said, okay. Are you sure? Is that $125? Is that what you said? And he said, yeah. It just was random. I don't know why it was there. Why it was sitting next to. It was sitting next to, like a Booker's, and next to
I don't get it.
Well, yeah, and
I
next
just don't get it.
yeah, and next to I believe it was like a Rebel Yell or something. I don't know what
I don't know
happened,
what to tell you, man.
but I was all for it
Yeah.
because it was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you want to have a little bit?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, let's have
Yeah.
let's have a little bit of it.
And a little backstory is I was looking for something to bring to Thanksgiving, and thought, Wild turkey for Turkey Day.
And sure enough, you brought some of the good stuff for it. So I did the same. I wound up bringing Rare Breed to Turkey Day because I was like, oh, you know. But I also brought 101. No, wait, what did I do? Did I bring the Rare Breed? Yes, I did. I take that back. I brought the Rare Breed and 101. And I was like,
Yeah.
Turkey Day.
Turkey Day.
Oh,
Thought long and hard about that one.
This is going to be a struggle of an episode.
I also have been drinking Weller Special Reserve.
I saw that up on your shelf. We're not. By the way, we're not in the normal studio because Lucy was sick. I was like, maybe we should get out of the house.
Yeah, I didn't want to
record offsite.
Get sick. So
yeah. I didn't even ask you how your Thanksgiving was.
it was very nice.
Yeah.
How about yours?
Mine was
Very nice.
very nice as well. One thing about my Thanksgivings is that we typically kind of are all over the place. So we just have a lot of different Thanksgiving events that we have to go to.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a big thing with people on the holidays this time of year, Thanksgiving, Christmas. They're always traveling, whether that be 30 minutes cross country.
yeah. Anything else you've been drinking?
Other than that, that's been the majority of it.
Yeah.
Cool. What about you?
Like I was saying, I had some turkey products for Turkey Day, of course. I finished up my part of the Beagle Rare blend.
Okay.
That video's on YouTube. There's a link below in the description of this episode too for you to go check out. Find out what I put in there after last week's episode with Matt Porter of ADHD Fishing. You can check out that episode. It's really fantastic if you haven't listened to it yet. Maybe one of the most emotional episodes we've ever done. So you definitely want to go listen to that.
Yeah.
Also, our good friend Dustin came in this weekend, as he and his wife do just about every month. And I was like, well, I guess we'll break something special out. And I had just a little bit of what was given to me by Dixon Deadman of Batch 9 Kentucky Owl.
Okay.
And so we finished that off this weekend. And I was like, special times.
I guess both of us were drinking well.
Yeah, we had a pretty good good weekend of
good selection.
Mm-hmm. So not gonna complain.
No, not at all.
Too much about that. So we've started doing this thing on the show where we talk a little bit about news that's going on in the world of bourbon. We're also going to be talking about some listener questions and some topic suggestions and everything. But one of the things that we've also started doing is finding articles. You remember that article from a couple weeks ago that was so weird?
Do we have another weird one?
Yes. And this is from robreport.com, R-O-B-B report.com. The headline is, How Matthew McConaughey is Trying to Get a New Generation to Love Bourbon. And,
I'd like to know.
Here's the thing. Let's start off with just this headline. No. I don't think that's true all the way through.
Which part?
Well, hold on. The subheader is the actor teams up with Wild Turkey in Operation Barbecue Relief to cook for the homeless and first responders who were putting out LA's fires. So immediately, I'm just confused as to what this article is even trying to tell me about. Are they trying to tell me that Matthew McConaughey is saving bourbon, or are they trying to tell me about this awesome philanthropic thing that he is doing with Wild Turkey? And
the act of giving
I just don't
gonna
know
inspire
because, like,
the next generation to drink bourbon?
So this is from earlier in November, right? And the first line is, on November 4th, Matthew McConaughey turned 50 and decided to commemorate the occasion with his first ever post on Instagram, a social media platform that's been around for nearly a decade. Thank you, Rob Report, for that information. It talks a little bit about his his work as an actor, but then kind of segues into, and it's such an awkward segue too, about how he's teamed up with Wild Turkey to be their creative director. And like the article itself is basically 2 paragraphs before it goes into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 question interview with McConaughey.
Okay. So what does McConaughey say?
So the first question is, what inspired you to team up with Turkey? And he said their authenticity. Cool. Get it. Great. But he doesn't really explain anything that goes back to the headline of how he's trying to get a new generation to love bourbon.
Yeah.
Right? It does a little bit. He says, I came on board to help reintroduce bourbon drinkers to Wild Turkey and also to introduce a new generation who might not know the brand. And their values align with mine. The kind of person I strive to be is very similar to the type of people at Wild Turkey. So I said, I can get behind you. You can get behind me. There's a symbiosis here. Let's work this out. And I was on board. But that doesn't explain why he's pushing it to a new generation. Okay?
Yeah.
And so here's my issue with this article. I'm gonna get into it a little bit more. This is starting to lean into something that kind of killed bourbon back in the day. And it wasn't that people were doing this to bourbon, it was what they were doing to other liquor brands outside of bourbon, gin, vodka, those kinds of things in the 60s and 70s. With the rise of the popularity of James Bond and the martini and stuff like that, bourbon, of course, fell by the wayside. It became grandparents' drinks. So I think that I don't anticipate this working out the way that they think it should, right? I commend him for wanting to come on board with Wild Turkey, but I don't see what he's saying that he's trying to push it to a new generation.
Yeah.
I mean, does it have to do with Long Branch? Does it have to do with the fact that he's... Yeah, I am wearing a Long Branch hat, by the way. I pointed to my head as I said that. But, I mean, does it have to do with the fact that he's in all these commercials for them? I just don't see these two things line up. And I'm worried that if he or other people push this a little too far, it might be bad for bourbon.
How do they push it too far?
I don't know yet. That's the thing. It's like... Maybe by commodifying it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
By making it, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too snobby with it. Am I being too snobby with it?
I'm not sure if you're being too snobby with it. I just don't know. I agree that I don't see how he has... none of his actions have really put out saying... I'm enhancing the brand to push towards this new generation of drinkers. I'm not seeing any action or anything that he's put forth to do that. Kind of how I see it, I think it's good for Wild Turkey if they are able to get Matthew McConaughey on board and really to push some of these initiatives. I think that's good. I don't know how much it's really going to help the brand of Wild Turkey.
I don't really know either.
The only thing I can think of is, it is good to have, some celebrity spokespeople a little bit on their commercials. Their commercials are really well done.
That's true.
And pushing past, your general Kentucky audience. They had more of like a New Orleans kind of style. Mm-hmm. Looks like that might have been what they were going for. So I think that's good for him. I think the commercials having him within that. I just want to know why they gave him the creative director position.
Here's
is it a false title? Really?
It kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
Here's my other big issue with this.
Because that makes it seem that he is in some of the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And some of this is how we're pushing.
And I don't know how much of that he's actually instilling in their marketing. The other big problem I have with this, though, he's not making Wild Turkey.
Well, no.
And I think that it's kind of not giving credit where credit's due by ignoring Jimmy and Eddie.
Sure.
I think, I don't know. I haven't fully like fleshed this out, but like my immediate reaction is, this is not sitting well with me.
I guess so.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
I think I'm more upset with there feels like this weird vibe of we're just trying to commodify Wild Turkey in a way that makes it feel cheap by having a spokesperson like Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like I don't think
that.
bourbon needs
I don't think it's
celebrity
cheap.
spokespeople.
I would agree. I don't think that it's really making it cheap or like kind of commodifying like you were kind of saying. I don't see that aspect of it. I think it's more of on a national level, having a spokesperson can help and can help grow a brand in that sense. So I don't see it that way. I just don't think it's actually... I think it's the way they presented Matthew McConaughey as this creative director that will be in kind of the helping with the strategy. And I think that's where it gets a little off. Because Jim Beam had, Mila Kunis.
That's true.
But I think the difference there is they never said she's creative director or,
Yeah, absolutely.
She was obviously a celebrity spokesperson.
I would also like to see, if we're assuming that he is pushing the brand of Wild Turkey to a new audience or a new generation of consumers, I kind of would like to see the numbers from before he came on to after, as opposed to afterwards. Is it really going to be that much different? I don't know. I can't imagine that it would be. But at the same time, like, I think we need to not put the cart before the horse when trying to say that he is this kind of implied savior for a heritage brand that has such a strong following already.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything that he himself has put forth to really strike up a kind of a revolution of a new generation of drinking bourbon. I haven't seen anything like that.
No.
I kind of treat this as he is a celebrity spokesperson that probably does do he does do more than just being a celebrity spokesperson. But I don't think it's enough to say he's creative director of pushing a brand such as Wild Turkey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't see it moving the needle.
I don't really either. I don't really either.
So
anyway,
I think that's the problem with the article.
Yeah.
Is you're saying this, but you're not giving any fact to say this is what he has done.
Mm-hmm. So we'll move on. I would like to hear everybody else's thoughts on this as well. Tweet into the show at MyBourbonPod. Send us an email. This is mybourbonshop@gmail.com if you have thoughts or anything. I'll also share a link on social media to that article. Let's move on to something else that has... This has perplexed me, Curtis.
Okay.
And it's... I think I saw the podcast tweeted earlier about this, and they said it's that time of year where we all collectively think, what were they thinking? And that's with Whiskey Advocate's top 20 bourbons of 2019.
I haven't seen the list.
Currently, they only have 10 of the top 20 out.
Sure.
Okay.
20 to 10, right?
No.
They went 1 to 10?
They went 1 to 10 first.
Okay.
How weird is that?
That's odd.
Yeah. Again, what were they thinking?
I suppose so.
So 5 out of the top 10 were bourbons.
Why would you reveal your number 1
I don't know.
before your number 20?
I don't know. I don't
Continue.
understand. That's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the bourbons that are on this list.
Sure.
Okay. Coming in at number 7, Old Ezra Barrel Proof, age 7 years old. Okay. That was kind of a dark horse for me. I'm not, this is not me giving my top 10 yet.
Yeah.
But that one really did kind of grow on me throughout the year and found out that I really did like it. Cool. Totally fine with that.
Yeah.
6, Woodford Reserve Batch Proof. I'm very give or take on that one. We've had it before. It is what it is. And,
it's good.
Yeah.
Top 10, probably not.
Number 4, Heaven Hill 7-year bottled and bond, which of course has not made it to the Kentucky market yet. But
So we wouldn't know.
Well, I mean, I do have that sample from Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
Which I guess you haven't tried yet.
I haven't tried it. No.
Okay. I think that it deserves to be on a best of 2019 list. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be, this high
Top 5
on a list. Number 3. I'm all for this. I think, honestly, this is in a pretty good spot. It could have, I'm not sure how it's going to fare for me just yet, but Woodford Reserve, that's not it at all. But Four Roses Small Batch Select.
Okay. Yeah.
4th Rose, newest release, 104 proof, non-chill filtered, blend of 6 different recipes from Four Roses. Fantastic product.
Yes.
Really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's available. Price is good.
Yeah, exactly. Their number 1 whiskey of 2019.
And that was number
3.
Okay.
The only reason I'm skipping over the other ones is because they're not bourbon related.
Sure.
That
All
just, I mean, number 2 was a Dewar's product. It is what it is.
Okay.
Number 1, though, is the George Dickel Tennessee Bottled and Bond whiskey.
You pulled that bottle out and I said, that's number 1?
This is number 1. Curtis, would you like to drink
Yeah, I'll have a sip.
some of
If I
Whiskey
remember-
Advocate's
Number 1 bourbon?
number 1 whiskey
Yes.
of 2019?
If I remember right, this is very popcorn and nutty forward.
And it's still popcorn and nuts.
Yeah, literally I'm going to a movie theater.
But
Am I not respecting that more, or
I don't know.
is it?
I don't know. Again, what were they thinking?
Yeah, I don't know, man. What are they thinking?
There is no way
To say this is the number
that
1?
this is better than Four Roses Small Batch Select.
No way. Yeah, get off.
Absolutely not.
That's crazy.
I
That's crazy talk.
don't agree with that at all.
Who made this list?
Whiskey Advocate.
I know.
Not Fred Minnick anymore. He's not been there in a while. But holy moly, this is I feel like I'm unpunked.
Same here.
This doesn't make sense to me.
This is their number 1 whiskey.
And look, it's not bad.
No,
It
no,
is
no,
not,
no.
and this has really opened up. I will say that much. It has really opened up
And I
since
enjoy
we first
it.
tried it.
It's interesting. It's unique. To say it is the number 1 whiskey, that's a
Wow.
stretch. What were they thinking?
Kentucky Owl Batch 9 came out this year.
Yeah.
Confiscated came out this year. And I
Confiscated.
know a lot of people gave Confiscated crap. Confiscated is a great bourbon.
I don't know how people could put.
There's not even a rye on this list. Old Forester rye came out this year.
Yeah. There's not one rye on this.
I don't understand. Maybe it's in the top 20 instead of the top 10. But
And this
Okay,
is for sure. This is for sure.
this is for
They're
sure
10
their
through-
top 10.
Really? Is that what that's meaning?
Yeah.
Because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt of like, okay,
No.
maybe if that's
No, they have announced it on multiple platforms
as their number 1.
as their number 1.
Okay.
It's December 2nd, not April 1st. But it feels like April 1st.
It feels like April 1st. I'm getting punked. I don't know. Where Ashton Kutcher? Where are you? What celebrity spokesperson are you going to be for?
I don't get it. I do think that it's a very quality product at $35 a bottle, 100 proof, 14 years old, 13-ish, You know, it's not a bourbon, it's a whiskey. Fine, whatever, don't care. I have just had so many better things than this year. And it's totally subjective. I mean,
Sure.
we can hem and haw over this all day. But,
Ultimately, it ends up to whoever
exactly.
is
You know?
looking and tasting it.
Now,
But I also think there has to be some
your
sort of
face got really contorted there for a second. Like, this is a big thought.
yeah. But I also feel like there has to be some sort of consensus of, nah, this is good. This is
there's gotta
near
be.
the top.
There's gotta be. I mean, it's a magazine. It's not, one guy writing a blog saying, "Here's my top 10 of the year." It's not us saying individually, "Here's
Yeah.
our top 10."
Well, it could be a magazine that freelanced somebody out and did it, but
What are you trying to tell me?
I don't know.
Have you been writing for Whiskey Advocate and not?
Would I put that as
Holding
number
back
one?
for me?
Probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to say that this is bad by any means. I know I was a
No.
little extreme in my reaction, but there's so much better stuff out there
Yeah.
that has come out this year.
This is good.
It's good. It's just not great.
It's not number one. So who would you put as number one?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I've still got a lot of like thinking and,
Just name
and
a-
work to do.
Yeah, I'm just meaning name a few whiskeys. In this realm.
Old Forester Rye is definitely up there for me. The Four Roses Small Batch Select, as we've already talked about. Even the two, well, really, all three of the Kentucky Owl products that have come out this year have been fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, William LaRue Weller's been great. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof has kind of disappointed me this year. The Booker's releases have all been good, but I don't think that they've been great so far. I haven't tried the last one, the Beaten Biscuits, but I don't know.
I guess it comes to little name game. Booker's releases this year over George Jekyll. Bottom
yeah,
down. What would you say?
definitely Booker's.
Okay. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof over the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So
it
I mean,
just-
but even I think that I would put all three of the Elijah Craig releases and all four. Well, okay, I've only had three of the four Booker's releases ahead in a list of this George Dickel bottle and bond.
Yeah, this bottle for me, if I were to make a top 20, it's a change of pace, like number 14.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
that's different. Not many people are going to have some of this stuff on there. That's what I would put this as.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I'm also pulling out other stuff for us
I
to
see that.
try. Yeah, we never did talk about this Wild Turkey Master's Keep Decades.
Sure.
It's really good.
Yeah.
No, I was saying earlier too that it is kind of reminiscent of older turkey, or just kind of that classic turkey profile, and I really do stand by that. I think that it's, if you're trying to tell people what wild turkey is like, sure it's expensive, but it's
really good.
real nice, Clark.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good.
It's amazing how much the more bourbon I have, the better I feel.
Not amazing.
Nah, not amazing
Just-
at all.
Kind of expected.
Yeah. Here, let's try something else as we're getting into this last bit before we get into our review.
Sure.
This is cool.
Larceny.
This is a larceny barrel pick.
Oh.
It's called Why So Delicious, and it's
With-
got the Joker from The Dark Knight on the back.
Where's this from?
This is from the Bankhead Beverage Store. And I honestly, I don't know where this store is located, but our buddy Dustin, who I was just talking about earlier, he bought a case, and I got 2 bottles out of that, and so I wanted to share this with you.
Well, thank you. I love the labels on
Oh,
the barrel pick labels on most of these.
The Photoshop work on this is really good too. He's holding a bottle of
I
larceny
saw that,
too.
yeah.
It's pretty great.
I guess you can say this is parody, right?
Oh no, it absolutely is.
So I suppose that's why they can't get them on copyright?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, that's the same thing with the.
I'd be interested to see.
It's the same thing with Rick and Morty.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
I was really waiting for Dan Harmon to say something to.
Yeah, well,
But I mean, again, he has bigger potatoes.
Exactly. I am interested in that though.
Yeah.
Is it just so low key that nobody
I think that's got to be it.
that nobody is like really paying attention to it?
It's one store pick. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they gonna do? Anyway, so last point of conversation before we wrap it up and get into our review. This is a question submitted by a friend of the show and longtime listener, Adam Terry. And he asked, what are your top 3 bourbons that you've purchased in 2019? Something you took home, not just a pour at a bar. It's an interesting question.
Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm going to go ahead and say Wild Turkey Decades is one that top purchase of 2019.
That was a special bottle that came out of nowhere, man.
Yeah.
Just out of left field.
Out of 2019. It's not a 2019 release, though, is that?
I don't think it has to be. I think
Okay.
it just has to be something that you've purchased this year.
Yeah, Wild Turkey Decades, that's one. Also a little bit of recency bias.
Well, yeah. But even still, I mean, I would have looked back on this and gone, that was a really cool
Yeah.
purchase. Do you want me to go for 1, 2? We can kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, sure.
Surprisingly enough, Little Book Chapter 3. I was so excited for it, but reservedly so. Like, I was worried that it was just going to fall short like the other little books kind of have so far. And, we did that review of it a few weeks back, and I was so pleasantly surprised by it. And, I didn't wind up with any BTAC this year, which was the first time in a couple of years that happened. But honestly,
that's all right.
I'm so okay with it.
We still got to try it.
Yeah, exactly. And
for free.
Well, yeah, that is true. But that bottle, being able to bring that home was really cool. Yeah. I'm starting. This is a question that I hadn't even really thought about until right now.
Oh,
and I know I put you on the spot
either.
with it. I probably should have given you a little bit of prep time.
I think I got a second one, though.
Okay.
I think my second one is going to be Wilderness Trail Bottled and Bond.
Oh, the rye bourbon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just everything of Wilderness Trail has been so good, and I've really enjoyed kind of growing up with them a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Not so much, growing up.
No,
but
I totally get what
as
you're
far
saying.
as it's a brand that has just started. I've just started. I mean, not just started, but a couple years ago, just started to get into bourbon, and this is something for the first time for me.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this is a new distillery, and I think those craft distilleries have just been really, really great, and so I'd say more Wilderness Trail rather than a particular bottle.
Yeah,
but
just kind of in general.
that's been a good one.
Yeah. This is a little sentimental. Chad and Sarah's pick for their wedding. A mash made in heaven.
Yeah.
It was a 13-year-old, I think, Knob Creek pick that they did. And the part of the barrel head, I don't know if you know this or not, part of the barrel head went into Chad's wedding ring.
No way.
Yeah, it's really cool,
That's
man.
super cool.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know anything about that.
It's a fantastic pick, and, being such good friends with them, too, it was really special to have something to kind of take away from that. And I had a pour of it yesterday while I was working on my guitar. It's a good bottle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good bottle. You'll have to have some when you come over next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3 for you?
Number 3. I think I'm going to let you go with number 3 first.
That's totally fine. I actually might I'm going to lump 2 into 1.
Okay.
Because they're from the same occasion. So I was asked by Iverson of OBC, whom we talk about all the time. He's been on the show, yada yada, to go on a Russell's pick with him and the crew from BHG.
Okay.
And we wound up not just picking a barrel of Russell's Reserve, but also a Kentucky Spirit pick. And I'd never done a pick before with a master distiller, and like Eddie was there the whole time, and he's like pulling from the barrel himself and pouring it for you, and talking about, you know, all the different warehouses and, you know, how they affect the aging, and, you know, talking about what his favorite warehouses were and everything. And so anyway, so both of those picks are great, and I, you know, maybe it's because I was on them that I feel that way.
Yeah.
But I finally got to get a bottle of each of those recently. And so I'm going to lump both of those in for my number 3, just because of how cool that experience was. And like when I talk about Wild Turkey, you know, I talk about that experience and how cool it is to get to go and hang out with the master distiller while you're doing a pick and everything. So anyway,
that's a cool, I mean, that's just a cool story in itself.
It's a really cool story.
Yeah. It's so funny to listen to, you know, just different. He asked, what's your favorite bottle that top 3 bottles that you bought this year? I would assume expecting some, this because the juice in it was so good. Like, you know, the bourbon in this was so awesome, and the nuance of such and such, and like talking about the notes,
man.
But it's all about the story that happens with it. And that goes back to my third one.
Yeah.
Is the Maker's Mark Private Select for Keeneland.
Oh man,
I didn't get to go on the pick. I wish.
That was special. Yeah. Well,
but
that was way before you were ever at Keeneland. They decided on that blend.
Was. But like something like that, just being able to be in the launch of it and being able to make some stuff for it, and being able to be at the launch and get a bottle of it and all of those kind of things. It was just an experience that was really cool. And it's great bourbon.
No, it's fantastic. And it was really cool. You know, I feel like there's 2 sides of this coin of the podcast. There's all this stuff that I do for it, and it's all so like production heavy and bourbon heavy and everything. And you know that thing of when you were a kid and you're like, when I leave school, my teachers don't. They sleep at school, right?
Yeah.
Like their lives don't matter. And it's not, I'm saying this and I don't mean it in this
But they
way.
don't have a life.
They don't have anything else going on outside of it.
Yeah.
And like at times my brain does that with the podcast too. It's like, oh, Curtis and Swan just... They kind of just
go.
They disappear into the ether after they leave my house.
Yeah.
And like to kind of step into your world too and see that part of it, and like see you talking with people that you work with, or you know, some of your bosses and everything, like that is something that I really treasure being able to share with other people. You know, and I think that's one of the big reasons why bourbon is so important to me, because you know,
same for me too.
It's not just about cracking open a bottle of Old Crow and
what's great
and going to town on it, and
what you think is good, and you know,
exactly.
It's
like,
about the people you've met through it.
It's the community.
It was exactly, because that's another. Going back to, you know, they don't have lives. You know, on the other coin of like a lot of people that I work with don't know that I do a podcast. A lot of people that I
yeah.
And I say, oh, you know, I really love bourbon. I do this, I do that, and you know, some of them are like, all right. They're like, do you though?
Yeah. But then, you know, we show up and it's like,
oh yeah,
you're real.
Yeah, you're real. You do know what that is. You do stuff outside of work.
Man, this conversation makes me want to add another bottle on. Can I do an honor? It's not even fair to call it an honorable mention, because it's so special to me. Man. Okay. So I won a bottle of Kentucky Owl Confiscated. And I didn't crack it until I went and sat down with Dixon for the most recent episode that I did with him. Not the podcast within the podcast or the Beagle Rare episode, but when I actually, went and did a whole episode with him on National Bourbon Day. And I had him sign it too. And like he was just baffled as to why. Y'all know Dixon. He's the most humble man in the entire world.
Yeah.
But like he was baffled as to why I would even ask him to sign it. And like it just goes back to how cool this community is and how willing so many people are to just open up and let you into their space and allow you to share in those experiences with you and everything. So this conversation took quite a turn.
Yeah, it went from what's your favorite bottles to stories.
So what's been your favorite
Bottles.
experiences from this year?
From bottles you bought, I guess.
Maybe that'll be one of the ways we wrap up this year is talk about what of our favorite bourbon memories that we've made been this year. So yeah, we'll
There's
come
quite a few.
We'll come back to
it.
that. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that kind of does it for our conversation for the episode. We do have a review that is on the table. This is the third Jim Beam product we've done in a row when we've done a review.
Huh.
I kid you not.
We're loving the Jim Beam this year.
Apparently so. They've just had a lot of stuff come out that we've felt the need to talk about. This is the brand new Baker's Single Barrel. It is 107 proof. It does say on the official label that it's 7 years. But it does say 7 years minimum. Okay. In this case, it's 8 years, 6 months. And it was barreled in January 2011. So,
let's go for it.
Yeah. I've loved on this bottle a little bit.
Have you?
Let's, as we're talking, as we kind of tend to do from time to time, because we are both graphic designers by trade, what do you think of this kind of new design for the Baker's products?
I think I've talked about it before, but really just a progression of what Jim Beam's doing with all their products. Just making it more modern, sleek, still with a bit of this rough and tumble kind of look.
Yeah.
Kind of what Booker's and had looked like before, what Baker's had looked like before. I like the new bottle.
I do too. When we looked at it before, when we just looked at the flat image that was online.
Yeah.
I think I remember saying that I was just kind of okay with it, but actually having it in hand and looking at it and seeing all the different bits of it, I really like it.
I think it's nice.
I think it's nice
it's like
and
the
visceral.
Legend bottle.
Yeah.
I also, fun little touch here is that on the top of the cork.
Oh yeah.
It has this metal. It's not metal, but this
faux metal
wrapping, like ring that would go around a barrel.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
I like it.
This is kind of fun too. On the top, it has this kind of raised 107 proof Baker's.
It's got all the same information.
Yeah.
And I can't think of I don't think there's any other product that's got that on the cork as well.
I don't think I've seen anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So, still pretty cool. What do you think about the nose on this one, Curtis?
I don't know. Let me try.
First sniff.
Very good. Cherry cordial, cherry pie, baked goods.
Baked goods is really what kind of sticks out for me.
I'm getting a lot of cherry.
Kind of a rye bread.
Not an artificial cherry. Like a very nice.
Not a maraschino cherry.
No.
Like a real cherry.
Real cherry. None of that fake. I really like this nose.
There's some like deep cinnamon and clove notes in there too, and like there's a very specific vanilla note to it too, and it's not French vanilla. It's not like vanilla extract. Maybe it is vanilla extract. Either way, very good nose.
Yeah.
Very, very complex.
I really think that this nose will probably be. I haven't tasted it on the palate, but I think it might be the top.
I don't know, man. Palate's pretty great.
Palate's pretty good, yeah.
Oh, it's so creamy.
Yeah.
It's like apple pie a la mode. I mean, this is really now where I start to get the vanilla bean flavor.
I'm really getting a bread pudding.
Oh, thank you. That's what it is. Thank you. Oh, so good. But there's still like a fried apple flavor in there too. And I think that's where the cinnamon is kind of coming into play. Mm-hmm. The finish is not as long as I would like for it to be.
I was going to say the same
I'll say
thing.
that much. Because there's not really much of a Kentucky hug. The flavors aren't really going too far. But I think that overall,
it's
a
good.
Solid product, man.
This is very solid.
If I had to name a distillery of 2019, Jim Beam would probably be it.
I think so.
Which I don't know if I would have ever said
They've
before.
been killing it, man.
But there have been so many good things that came out of Jim Beam this year. I mean, again, Little Book 3. Now, I'm just going to name the ones we reviewed in order.
Yeah.
Little Book 3, Knob Creek Quarter Oak. This. I mean, like, it's...
Bookers.
It's just crazy. The Bookers releases have been
they
good.
haven't been as great as, like, I think last year's was really good.
But they've still been good.
Yes.
The Knob Creek single barrel picks, of course, are fantastic. I've not had a bad Knob Creek single barrel pick this year.
Me either.
I mean, I've had 9-year-old picks and I've had 14 and 15-year-old picks. And all of them have been great in their own right.
I don't know what it is. I think is it the fact that they have like these products that are just they can just put out and it's that good? Because with some but let's say Buffalo Trace and like BTAC and Wellers and all that kind of stuff, like when those are coming out,
sure,
and everyone seeks them. With Jim Beam products, I feel like
it's a lot more under the radar.
It's a lot more under the radar, and some people are like, huh? And I guess it's because it's something that they can put out all the time. Like, it's just their product line. But, man, it's good.
There's even, like, a mixed berry note in the middle of all that. Yeah, the finish, I think, is the
weak point.
The weak part. But again, it's not that it's a bad finish. It's just there's not much to it.
It's short.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This goes for $60 a bottle. So this becomes where we talk about the points of contention.
Okay.
So at $60 a bottle, you're getting an 8-year, 107 proof bourbon, single barrel. Or for $45, you could get a 120 proof, potentially 13, 14-year Knob Creek single barrel pick. So does this get lost in the market? Can it get lost in the market?
I think it can get lost in the market.
I think it
does.
can too. And, as far as like potential products that they could have been putting out on the market, I think that if we're just looking at from a dollar standpoint, this was kind of a misstep. But at the same time, like there's so much about this that we have to consider. Baker's is a little bit more of a premium product for Jim Beam. It's a lot more,
and I would say it's
small
a bit
batch.
of a premium, higher than a Knob Creek single barrel.
Yeah,
but it gets lost because it's a higher price point, and people are like, Knob Creek single barrels are sometimes better than what a Baker's would be.
Yeah,
and then you jump from okay, well, if I want to get Baker's, then I'm just going to get Booker's. In some instances,
you are edging dangerously close to the Booker's price. I mean, if we're just looking at MSRP, it's like $65, $70 for Booker's.
And you're sitting there going, well, I like the higher proof.
Yeah, exactly.
At least we do.
Yeah.
I like the higher proof. I like what Booker's has to offer.
I don't know, man.
But this is good.
No, it really is good. And I think that that's kind of what we have to judge this on is, what the quality is. And then, as we kind of always do with the price, does it warrant the price point? So
it definitely warrants the price point.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think it's right. I think it's perfect at what, Booker's and this. I think it's a good price point. I think it just gets lost a little bit.
Okay. I'm ready to
All right.
ready to score. So we have a scoring system of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5, and then we total it up for a score out of 20. And we let you know whether or not it is worth your time. Nose for me is a 4.
Okay.
I think it's so deep and rich and inviting, and dang it, man. It's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
It is really good. What do you think?
Here's my question. Is
Okay.
your palate higher than the nose? I don't want to give anything away, but
It is
'Cause you said-
it's very close.
okay.
It's very close.
Okay.
It's not what you think it is.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Okay, I don't know what it means either. Anyway,
All right. So for
I assumed a lot with that statement. I apologize.
for the nose for me is a 4 too. It's a 4
Sorry.
2.
Yeah, I got you.
It's
A 42.
wow.
42 out of 5. You can't do that.
You can't do that. That's not with the system.
illegal. And these made-up rules.
But it's really, I mean, it's just so much of this baked goods, the sweetness, and it's what on the nose. It's inviting. It's really, really good. And then the progression into the palate, it changes on you a little bit and has more of the savory, not as sweet notes. So yeah, I give the nose a 4.
Yeah. I gave the palate a 4.25.
Okay,
I
so
thought
a little better.
A little bit better. I mean,
I think
I
that's
might
the
be
first
selling-
time that anybody other than me has done like a 0.2 or
Chad's done it before
Has he?
too.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, I think that it does introduce more, but not so much more that it's really pushing it too far.
yeah.
So yeah, a quarter of a point higher.
Okay. Well, I'll match you and say that the palate is a 3.75.
Wow. Okay, you are doing your own math, and I'll
Okay, yeah.
I'll do mine. You do.
So you
yours.
win a quarter point up,
So you don't
and I
think-
win a quarter point down.
So you don't think that the palate's as good as the nose?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I really think the sweetness and the nice, just kind of baked goods.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the baked goods kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's because my palate, leans more towards
It leans darker. Yeah.
darker and a more of like a weeded.
Yeah. Well, that's true too. That's true.
I know this isn't weeded, but
No.
but that's what the weed is kind of lean towards is
Yeah,
more
yeah.
of the sweeter.
Yeah. Sure.
Rebel Yell 100 proof
Fair
exception.
enough. Yeah. No. That's true. Finish is.
So I think 3.75.
It's funny. Finish, unfortunately, is the weakest point. It's a 2. It lingers slightly, but there's nothing else that is really introduced. Basically, no Kentucky hug, even at 107 proof.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's wild.
I think that's kind of one of the reasons that I like this so much is that it drinks so easily
Yeah.
for its proof. But yeah, I can't go any higher than a 2.
No, 2.
Give it a
Yeah.
2.385.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 2.385. I thought about doing a 2 point. I was thinking 2.5, but then you said 2, and I know that shouldn't take any indication on what my rating is, but there's not much there.
No.
It's pretty low.
No.
So yeah, 2.
So 2?
Yeah, I think I have to give it a 2.
Yeah, it's a pretty bland finish.
Yeah,
But
and maybe that's a point of contention where
it definitely is for me.
what we were talking about on, well, if I'm going to get Bakers, then I'm going to get Booker's because Booker's finishes.
Well, and maybe this is just not the best single barrel. I mean, I will say it is pretty true to the Jim Beam profile, but I think that if I remember correctly, I like the Baker small batch, which is 7 years and 107 proof. I think I like that better than this product.
Yeah.
Just by a little bit. Well, okay. I like the finish on that better than this. I think overall this has a little bit more punch to it. But yeah. In that realm though, I gave the price a 3.5.
Okay.
Because I still have a hard time thinking about the fact that I could get 120 proof 14 year for a little bit less money, and if I paid a little bit more, I could get a higher proof for. Oh shoot, I didn't consider this. So Booker's is typically about 6 to 8 years, depending on the batch. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah. 3.5.
Okay. I went with, to round things out, 3.25. Because we're all about rounded numbers here. Yeah, I mean, the price is good. I'm not going to sit here and dog on the price. The price is good. The reason I'm saying that it's not as, a 4 or something like that is because you can get an Knob Creek single barrel for a lower price point.
Yep.
It's not going to have some of these different nuances of, for the most part, Knob Creek, you're not going to be offered with some baked goods nose, some sweetness. You're just not going to get that. Or with Booker's, you're not going to get that.
No.
So I think that's the only difference is it's a nice in between.
Sure.
It's a good middle of the road thing that you're going to get some of this sweet, but in terms of our palates and what we prefer more of this higher proof, darker notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's why 3.25. I mean, it's a good price.
Yeah. So what's your final score?
My final score is a 13 out of 20.
Okay. I gave it a 13.75 out of 20.
Yeah.
So really not that far off. I think overall this is pretty much a recommend.
It's a good product. I'd recommend it.
Yeah. I don't think that it's bad by any means.
I think it gets lost. And I would say
I think so too.
This is a recommend, and I know that
recommend with an asterisk.
Yeah. I know that I go to the liquor store and I'm like, Baker's, nah. And I'm sure you go to the liquor store and you're like, Baker's, nah.
I mean, not all the time. I mean, I did, unfortunately, towards the end of its run, and okay, I think it's still available a little bit, but the Baker's small batch.
Okay.
I do still have quite an affinity for.
All right, yeah.
But
for me, I'm always like, I'm going to go to something different.
Yeah, I think that the single barrel is going to get a little bit lost, but if we're just taking it on its merits, it's good stuff.
It's really good. If we're just taking it off of what it is, I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that does it for the review for the episode. We are actually introducing a new segment.
What?
To the podcast this week. And I'm kind of throwing around names for it. And I think I want to do something like, I had one that was real dumb. It was going to be like, this bourbon is hotline.
Okay.
But like the bourbon hotline is just,
okay.
It's just like, it just falls flat. I mean, it could be this is my bourbon hotline. We could stay really on brand.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think? Okay, let me explain the premise of this segment before we actually get too far into it. So, the number that we used for you all to call into the show when you were leaving voicemails for us to listen to on the podcast for the 100th episode Spectacular is actually still active. And if you are interested in calling into that number, it is 859-428-8253. One more time, that is 859-428-8253. And you can still leave us a voicemail, and we'll listen to it on the show, respond to your questions or comments or whatever you might have. And I think it's going to be pretty fun. So I don't quite know what I want to call this segment just yet, but we'll figure it out. If you have a suggestion, tweet in again at my bourbon pod. Or this is my bourbon shop.
Yeah, I want to include the hotline.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know how to.
It's hot. Wine. Like people call in, they're like, they give their best. It's hot.
That's a spicy meatball kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
But I also could see something of, something stave or barrel or.
Sure, yeah. We'll figure it out. Yeah, let's move on to the first caller for this new segment, whatever it's going to be called. This is our friend Ian, also known as Ian, that bourbon guy, on social media. So here is his message.
Harry, New Riff Superfan here. Hey, I was wondering when we're going to have our next meetup. I miss you guys. That's it. Bye.
Ian called himself the New Riff Superfan there, which I like a lot because Ian's all-time favorite distillery is New Riff.
Yes.
So Ian's question there was, when are we going to have our next meetup? And I guess this is a perfect opportunity to talk about when that's going to be. The plan right now, and I want to talk with Curtis a little bit more about this. This might be an off-air conversation. The plan right now is to do kind of late April, where we'll do the next official big meetup of the listeners, and we're going to do our next live show. More information on that's going to be coming soon, probably after the first of the year. And overall, the official one is going to be in April, maybe early May. This is again what I need to talk to Curtis about off air. I just want to make sure that, because I want, last year Swan was there, but Curtis wasn't able to be there. And so I want you guys both to be there this time around. So we're going to plan that a little bit better. But so for you listeners who are interested in coming and hanging out with us again, basically, late April, early May, that's what we're going to be looking at. I think you guys are really going to like this live show too. I've had a couple of really cool ideas that I've been kind of swirling around, but I think that the one that I've settled on is going to be super cool. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So a little bit of sizzle for you there moving forward. So that was that segment, whatever it's going to be called.
Hot. Wine.
Bling?
I feel like, and then you're calling in to the 1-800 line 1029.
Oh, man. Anyway, thanks to Ian for calling in for the first time on this segment. Curtis, we're not done just yet.
No, we aren't.
We do still have tips and bits.
Yeah, we do.
To get through. What are your tips and bits this week?
My tips and bits this week is Christmas music. It's about that time.
What do you mean about that time?
It is that time. It's getting close. It's December 2nd. So I gave you a day. It's December 2nd, and I just love Christmas, man. So
has been stated before on the podcast.
Multiple times. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
But this year, we're having a little twist, and I have a Spotify playlist that I am going to, as long as Perry allows.
Yeah, I will allow it. I know where this is going.
We are going to share it onto the podcast, and it's curated by me. I prefer it. I think it's pretty nice. But so everyone can listen to it and get into the holiday spirit, and you're on your couch, you're drinking some bourbon, maybe you just turn on the old playlist. And so the playlist name is called You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, Kid. Which, for anyone who hasn't seen A Christmas Story, is...
I'm an official Red Ryder Carbine Action 200-shot range model air rifle.
Exactly. And so that is just a classic line from that movie, and it's my favorite Christmas movie, so I made it You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, Kid.
That is fantastic.
And it has some of the classics. It has some of the newer stuff. It's all very, Frank Sinatra, Michael Bublé.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Seth MacFarlane. For
nice.
Anyone that hasn't listened to his Christmas album.
He's good, man.
Oh, it's so good.
Good stuff.
Seth MacFarlane's a really good...
Chris MacFarlane. Who's that?
Sorry, I said Seth.
Is that his brother that wasn't as successful?
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
He's the one that did... I was trying for some obscure... Whoa. I was trying
for whatever reason, The Mandalorian started playing.
I was wondering what that was.
On my iPhone, I apologize.
I was going for some obscure, animated cartoon, like adult cartoon, that nobody had heard of, but I couldn't think of one. So yeah,
Big Mouth. Have you watched Big Mouth? Have we talked about Big Mouth on the podcast before?
I don't think we have, but
Do you like Big Mouth?
I haven't watched it. I can't
so
really tell.
Funny. It's so funny. I'm a couple seasons behind.
Okay.
But it's on Netflix. It's John Mulaney and Nick Kroll. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
And man,
Really good.
it's weird.
That's what
I'll
I've
say
been
that
told.
much,
That's what
but
I've been told.
It's really, really funny. Yeah. This season of Bob's Burgers has been great.
I know.
It's been
I know.
so good.
Did you watch the Thanksgiving
No,
episode?
I haven't seen it yet. I said to Lucy the other day, I'm sure we have a Bob's Burgers Thanksgiving episode, and I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So by the time this episode comes out, I will definitely have seen it.
Yes.
But shoot, no, man.
It's really good.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Dang it. And my favorite Bob's Burgers Thanksgiving episode, maybe this will be my tip and or bit,
Okay.
is the one where the turkey keeps winding up in the toilet.
Yeah.
He's originally going to do a 3-day salt brine.
Yeah.
I guess a 2-day salt brine will be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. A 1-day salt brine's just as good, maybe. I don't
Maybe.
know. Anyway.
All right.
Anyway, that is easily my favorite Thanksgiving Bob's Burgers. But the Halloween one this season was...
That was good.
Anyway, that's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Me too.
Easily one of my favorite shows of all time. That would be a great Halloween costume some year.
For sure.
Bob
I'd
and
definitely
Linda.
be Bob. Yeah.
Oh, I'd do that all day long.
Might
Anyway.
be Gina. I don't know. Or Gene. Gene cracks my shit
Gene
up,
costume would be fantastic.
Gene's so
man.
funny.
Do you know the theory around Gene?
No.
That he's actually gay?
Oh, yeah. I think we're
He's
definitely...
gotta be, right?
He's gotta be.
I mean, it's maybe not even a theory.
I don't think it's a theory anymore. I think it definitely
yeah,
is.
Yeah. But anyway, that's just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a great show.
it's fantastic. Go watch Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
I'm probably
And-
gonna go home and watch some.
And we will create the link for
yes,
the Christmas
you'll shoot your
playlist.
eye out, kid.
Yeah, you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Oh, also, I gotta plug another show.
He looks like a
because-
pink nightmare.
Do you want to take it off? Mm-hmm. I just did a visual gag for an audio medium.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize for that. Also, I know I've talked about it on the show before. Maybe this is like the third week in a row that I've talked, or the third week in general that I've talked about it. But Watchmen on HBO is so good. My cousin actually is an editor for HBO.
Oh, okay.
And so he's kind of, every week we've been watching Watchmen. And he kind of, he's texting with me and my dad and my brother, going back and forth like, oh, I can't believe that happened. Or wait until you see next week's episode. And we're like, stop doing this to me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't wait. But it is, if you're a fan of the original Watchmen comic, absolutely go and watch it. They only have 2 episodes left in the season. It's killer. I would do a whole podcast just on that show.
Yeah.
To be honest. But anyway, yeah, that was Tips and Bits. Thank you guys so much for listening this week. Kurt, where can people follow you on social media?
On Instagram, you can find me at KurtCon. On Twitter, Kurt_Con15.
And if you want to follow me, I am at PRitter1492 on all social media channels. If you want to follow the show, though, it is at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can send us emails to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys.
You can send us AIM
You can send us
at Instant
Ooh,
Messenger. Yeah.
That is a throwback. I had to reach pretty far deep into my brain
Yeah,
to
to-
pull
well,
that
what's
back
that?
out.
Yeah.
Oh, AIM.
Yeah. Just kidding. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
We
It's
don't
not
have
set
that.
up. Wouldn't that be funny, though?
How funny. Somebody's like,
In a day of
AIM'd
Facebook
you.
Messenger, we decided to set up an AOL Instant Messenger account. That'd be great. Yeah.
Classic.
No,
That'd be
I would love
awesome.
to start reading out questions or comments from you guys that you send to the email as well. So if you would like to do that, please consider, sending us an email. Again, this is mybourbonshop@gmail.com. One big thing that we would really love for you all to do is give us a 5-star rate and review on iTunes. That really does help us out. It plugs us a little bit more into the iTunes podcast algorithm, gets more people seeing the show. If we, get there a little bit further when people search Bourbon on the podcast app and they see us, and it's like, oh, hey, I'll check this out too. Yeah. But another great way of letting other people know about the show is just telling them. If you love this podcast and you also, have friends who love bourbon and you want them to hear it, by all means, tell them about it.
Yeah. Even if you have friends that don't like bourbon, tell them about it.
And you want them to like bourbon.
Tell them about
podcast.
It. Yes.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to us. Just download it. Don't even listen to it.
Do this thing for us, please. Yeah. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just download it. Don't even listen.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's okay. Whatever works.
No, that would be great if you could do that. Yeah. Also, bourbonshop.threadless.com is where you can find all of our apparel and merchandise. As of right now, there is we're going to call it Cyber Week deal going on over there, where all of the products are 15% off. So until Friday of this week, you will be able to get 15% off at bourbonshop.threadless.com. So go and check all that out. And then last but not least, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast is where you can become a patron of the show for as little as $1 a month. Curtis, I forgot to ask you this, and I meant to do this before we started recording. Would you be okay with taking another extra 30 minutes and recording this month's bonus episode for Patreon?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I thought you were going to straight up say no, and then I was going to be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just figure it out on my own. But, so this Friday, after this episode comes out, you're actually going to be able to hear the bonus episode if you are a $10 and up patron on patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. When you become a patron of the show, you do get those bonus episodes. You get some live hangouts, some live streams. All of that is going to be ramping up here in December. So, sorry, Curtis just showed me their new pup. He's a good boy.
Him's a good boy.
Him's a good boy. Anyway, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. We really do appreciate that. If I'm getting personal about how much Patreon affects my life, as I said at the top of the show, Lucy's been sick for the past few days, and because of Patreon, it has helped us, cover medical bills and everything, and it helps us kind of keep the lights on and go day to day and everything. I mean, I do, of course, give a lot of time and energy to this podcast, and by you all donating to the show, it helps out tremendously. So thank you all so much for doing that right now. Anybody who becomes a patron of the show here in the future, that'd be fantastic. So I'm going to wrap this up so we can record this Patreon bonus episode. Kurt, you got anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I'm not doing the Patreon.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay, well, it's just going to be me.
Okay.
Do you care if I do it here in your apartment?
You can do it outside on the porch. But...
It's like 12 degrees.
Yeah, well.
All right, fair enough. I'll get the bourbon to keep me warm.
Yeah.
I've got my bourbon to keep me warm.
Yeah, you should make a song out of that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, until next week, I'm Perry.
I'm Curtis.
And this is my Bourbon Podcast.